Hello, friends coming in. Welcome, welcome. So, for those of you coming in, good morning. Good morning. Hello to my friends already on the TikTok and the Instagram live stream. They're just a few moments ahead of you guys on the YouTube live stream. But glad to have you guys join in today. Today is August the 4th, 2021. This is the Checkin In podcast. My name is Biniam. This is the podcast where we do three things. Here, we want to grow in self awareness of ourselves. Secondly, we want to maximize our happiness. And thirdly, we want to learn to be kind to ourselves. These are critical elements that I want to grow in myself. I want to model how I do that with you guys. And I want to invite you to join me in the same process. We do this by asking self reflective questions that I consider, first of all, the merits of, and then I answer them myself. And I encourage you to do the same as well. So I'm glad you're here for the next few moments, the next half hour with me. Today's question we are answering on the Checkin podcast is, what's on your bucket list? I can't wait to answer this here because it's a lot of fun. It's a question about our future and how we're planning for it, especially by way of dreaming about things in the future. What's on your bucket list? While you guys are listening in, one of the things I invite you to do is check out my website. Why? Because on my website, I am building a community that is intentional. These three things that I just mentioned, we try to do on this podcast. On the website, there is a membership tier in which you can be a part of this community. In spending regular amount of time together. If you feel like you'd like some encouragement, some inspiration, some motivation in your own present context, what a great way to do it but that by joining a community. BiniamAshers.com. Check out the membership tier there, join and become a part of that. I would love to come alongside and see how I can best encourage you in your own context. So that's BiniamAshers.com. But in the meantime, this is the Checkin In podcast, episode number 24. Look at us go. We're going to be at 25 tomorrow. But in the meantime, I can't wait to dive into today's subject on what's on your bucket list. Thanks for joining the Checkin In podcast today. So glad you are here. So, what is on your bucket list? Let me consider this question. Again, if you guys would like to chime in with some of your thoughts, I would love to hear them. I never know what I'm going to answer in reference to these questions because I want it to be raw and candid and just kind of like off the top of my mind. What have I thought about this? What are my thoughts on this? And I would love for your participation that way too. But when I think about this question, what's on my bucket list? Goodness, yeah, it starts getting me thinking about the future, things that I'm striving for. So here's some things that I like about this question. This question here gets me at least thinking of how can I best prepare for the future coming up, especially get ready for it by way of anticipation. When I think of a bucket list, I think of anticipation of things that I'm looking forward to doing because I'm actually genuinely interested. Bucket list is one of those things, if you are unfamiliar with the term, of things you want to get accomplished in your future before your time is up. Things that you want to strive for, things that you want to experience, things that you want to ensure are actually going to be happening before you get there. And so, this is one of those questions that references those things that are on your radar coming up, how you want to experience. Goals. So yeah, goals is a good way to say it. Bucket list is basically goals that you have coming up in the future of things you want to get accomplished. And so, what are those? Great question to consider, especially for me because it involves anticipation. It involves something that I'm looking forward to saying, I want to get this done by a certain time. In a certain sense, I've set myself already a bucket list, and I've shared that with you guys. Mine is called the Accomplishment Manifesto. And I will share that with you when I'm imagining what some of my bucket goals are for the next year, but also long term as well. That's what I'm really looking forward to doing. It also gets one aware of what their interests are. I think this is one of those things that, for a lot of you, my viewers who are in this young season and you have no idea what you want to accomplish or to get done in your life, if you're like me that way, I can relate because I was definitely there once upon a time where I felt a sense of pressure to have things figured out by the time my school career came to an end, that's like my high school career, I felt the pressure to already have things lined up so that I was already knowing what I was going to accomplish in life. And that was a heavy, heavy expectation just because I was still getting to know myself. And so sometimes I wonder if you aren't in that same place too, especially those of you who are younger, whereby you have to sort of calibrate for these elements um, where it is, um, there's just like you're on someone else's expectation, right? And it's almost like you're wondering, whose bucket list am I fulfilling? Can I actually get to know myself and what I'm all about? What does that look like for me to ask those questions and saying, what am I interested in? What do I want to accomplish in the future? These are legitimate questions. And so I like that this question gets you in touch with yourself, getting self aware, which is one of the premises of our podcast. Self aware of what is it that actually matters to me and um, how do I want to experience what that looks like going forward in the future. So that's an important thing too. That's a very important thing. And finally, one of the things I also appreciate about this question is also how it enables one to be able to differentiate between things that they really want to get done and things that are just kind of like, your necessaries in life, like errands, like um, I'm not. I'm thinking things that are more ordinary. Bucket list items are usually a little more extraordinary. So we're not talking about like just your mundane goals and things you want to see accomplished, but also more so something along the lines of uh, the extraordinary that gets your heart pumping a little bit, that gets your adrenaline going, that gets you sort of salivating a little bit more, saying, I can't wait. This seems amazing and I want to be a part of this. So that's pretty spectacular when you think about bucket list items, is that level of the extraordinary where you're like, this is a little bit different from what I was anticipating. And this could be a game changer. This could be pretty good. So that's worthwhile. So those are some of the things that I'm thinking of when I think of this question. What are some of the things on your bucket list? What's on your bucket list? I'd love to hear you guys' as well. So feel free to type them in the chat if you so feel comfortable, because doing so is a very vulnerable thing, and I want to honor that as well. Do what you feel comfortable sharing. For me, I don't mind sharing with you a lot about myself. Why? Because I want to model for you what that looks like when we share appropriately. And I also want to give the distinction of appropriate shares versus inappropriate shares. So, what's on my bucket list? Let's dive in. Before I get to the bigger ones, I was just referencing earlier that I do already have a publicly posted smaller list of extraordinary goals I want to accomplish. I called this my accomplishment manifesto. So if you watch my TikToks and my Instagram, you'll be able to find those videos some weeks ago. But the accomplishment manifesto is 5 big goals that I want to strive to accomplish before the year is out. So that's pretty huge. That's pretty significant. 5 big goals I want to accomplish before the year is out. And it'll be interesting to make reference to those because my kids are just listening on the other side here, and some of them have to do with my kids as well. So they'll be pretty excited when they hear some of them. But my accomplishment manifestos go as follows, and it's in no necessary order here. It'll just be things I want to see accomplished this coming year, things that I'm striving for, and so I can't wait to be able to work towards them. Bucket lists usually take a lot of work. They usually take a lot of work because it's like, hey, I just can't go and pick up on this. It's like something I have to plan for. For some people, their accomplishment or their bucket list item might be to go skydiving. Well, you just don't go this afternoon and sign up for skydiving. Usually, you have to plan for that in advance. You have to prepare for it emotionally, or maybe for some, it is to go and visit another part of the world. So, with accomplishment manifestos, they usually do take time to get to. Here are my 5 accomplishment manifest items. Number 1, I want to, within 1 year, I want to be able to donate my entire income from Uber to a couple of organizations that are very near and dear to my heart here in my city. It's my way of bringing more attention to them, but also supporting them and helping others to know that they exist and the work that they do. And so, within a year's time, I want to be able to see the business that I'm building growing to such an amount that can support me, whereby when I work or continue working for Uber, which I won't need to do, but I'm going to be doing it because I genuinely enjoy connecting with people and I genuinely enjoy inspiring, encouraging people. I'll be able to take that entire income, the income I earned from Uber, and then invest it and support these 2 organizations. What are these 2 organizations? One is called Not in My City, so an organization that is dedicated to the stopping and seeing sexual exploitation come to an end. Really appreciate their commitment. And then, secondly, will be um, the Alpha House. The Alpha House for me is this group here in the city which serves our marginalized community, especially those who are homeless, those who are struggling with drug addictions, that kind of thing. So that's the second organization that I'm so looking forward to being a part of and having their effects there. So that's what I'm looking forward to. There's Alpha House and the Not in My City organization. So, I'm just noticing on my Instagram live stream that my battery power is running low. So I'm just going to plug you guys in. Give me a quick second here. My notification just came up. I'm like, oh, I wouldn't want to lose my friends there. So let's go ahead and plug that in and make sure that you guys are not going to die on me. So that's how I'm going to afford Sam the ability to be able to devote my entire earnings. It's because I'm going to, be building this business on the side here that is going to enable me to live off of that income while I continue to work for Uber and dedicate that income towards these 2 organizations, Not in My House and the Alpha House. Really fantastic organizations that I can't wait to bring more attention to and to see their extensive their influence grow extensively. That's really important for me. My second um, item on my accomplishment manifesto is I want to be able to buy my dream car, which most of you may know is a Tesla X, or even the Lincoln Navigator has also come on my radar recently too. But primarily the Tesla X, the Model X on the Tesla line. I'd like to buy that with cash, which is an unusual thing because people don't usually walk around with an expendable $150,000. That's a chunk of change there, and so I'd like to be able to grow to such a point where I'm able to walk in there and buy that vehicle with cash, not having to put it on payments or anything like that. So that's one of my goals. Is that ambitious? Absolutely, but I'm still looking forward to striving for that, working hard to be able to get there and to experience what that is like. So that's one of the things on my radar that I really want to aim for is being able to do that. That is very, very ambitious, isn't it? It's an ambitious goal, but um, a lot may say that's a dreamer. And I would say, yep, that's me. But I think that's what a bucket list item is. It's something that stretches you to that point where you're like, is this really realistic? Is this possible? Can I actually do this? Well, hell yes, I want to try for it. And so this will be a new experience, but I want you guys to be a part of that process. And so I can't wait to share that with you. The third item on my accomplishment manifesto is I want to be able to send my ex, my kids, and my mom-in-law to Disney World. That's a huge one. The last time we went to Disney was when my oldest was 3 months old. That was like a decade ago now, a decade ago. And so I would love to be able to again send them there, just as a way of saying, "Hey, oh, I can see my Instagram Camera is not even focusing on me. Let's try and rectify that. My poor Instagram listeners are like, where are you? There we go. Um, to be able to send my family to Disney, the kids, mom-in-law, I would love to be able to send them to Disney. Was it Disneyland or just Disney World? The one that's in Florida. Anyway, the last time we were there, I was saying my firstborn was just a baby. I saw that coming. Let's try this again here. My poor Instagrammers are like, this camera business today is just going haywire on us, but there you are. I apologize for that. So, yes, I would love to be able to send them to Disney and on an entire expenses paid just because it was so much fun when we were there. And my other two have never been there, and so it'd be great to be able to see the joy and happiness that they experience when they're able to go to what they call the happiest place in the world. Not that they're going to try and find their happiness there, but they're going to experience happy moments while they're there on a vacation. So that's one of my goals on my accomplishment manifesto. Fourth on my list of accomplishment manifesto is for every single day of this coming year, I want to post on my mom series on my YouTube channel a video of my Uber rides. That means 365 different episodes or rides that I'm featuring on my YouTube channel of me in the car with my passengers. And so I would love to share that with you guys. I think that has received a lot of benefit from some. Yeah, it's been received with benefit by so many who've watched those videos. So I want to commit to an entire year of being able to feature a ride with one of my riders in my Uber on my mom series. My mom series, if you aren't familiar with them, is a memorable Uber moment series, and so that's what I want to be able to share with you guys for an entire year. So that's going to be a lot of fun. An entire year of Uber moments on my YouTube channel, and you can find that linked on my Instagram, my YouTube, and of course, you guys here on the YouTube live stream are already there. So that's an entire year of memorable Uber moments, the long version without any edits, posted on my YouTube channel. The final thing on my accomplishment manifesto to accomplish before the year is done is I want to export hope to 10,000 subscribers on my website. So I'm hoping to be able to reach, by way of subscriptions, 10,000 people. And I say export hope because that's at the very heart of what I want to see the experience being for so many who come and become a part of this community. 10,000 people is a lot of people, but can you imagine 10,000 people who are getting together for these three purposes? And that's to grow an awareness of themselves, to learn to be kind to themselves, and to maximize their happiness. I'm going to make a video about this morning after this podcast, but that's what I'm driven by is, can I meaningfully, tangibly help 10,000 people this coming year to be able to experience hope in a real way? This is something worthwhile pursuing. I am so excited about this, and I cannot wait for this experience of being able to help 10,000 people. Are you guys going to be one of them? Are you going to join this membership tier that I'm building? Because we are going to we're going to shake this world in a real tangible way. By the way, we can regularly get together to encourage and inspire one another, to be able to help affirm one another, to be able to build up our confidence, to be able to set us afire for what it's going to look like to help do this many people. That's worthwhile. So I am looking forward to that. I think it's a worthwhile goal. On the other hand, I want to share with you some of my bigger life goals, some of my bigger bucket lists. So I mentioned five of them already, which are my momentary ones for the next year or so. But some of my bigger um, bucket list items, I'd love to be able to visit every continent of this world. Why? To meet the people there, to experience the cultures there, and to be able to take hope there. So when people ask about places I'd like to be traveled to in the world, some of the places that I say are really high on my list there would be places like India. and China, places like Lebanon, places where the amount of suffering is high. Why do I want to go there as part of my bucket list? Because not only do I want to go and experience what it's like over there, but also I also want to see if I can export hope in those places. So I'd love to bring you guys along for that experience where I go there, one, just to see what it's like to experience human devastation, and in the midst of doing that, to be able to say, okay, this is what it looks like for me to see them in their own context of brokenness, and then to be able to reach them meaningfully and saying, hey, there's hope in this world, and I want you to experience what that hope is like. I want you to experience how to be able to, in some sense, know that someone sees you in the midst of your suffering, and that someone actually cares for how you are evolving in your own experience. I would love to be a part of that experience. That drives me. That's one of the things on my bucket list, to travel to many places on this continent and other continents and showcase the pain that's there. I would love to be able to see that happening. Another reason why I would love to do this. Oh, sorry. And another one, item on my bucket list is to be able to get my pilot's license. One of the things I love doing is flying, and I'd love to be able to learn how to fly a helicopter. I would find tremendous satisfaction in being able to even afford a helicopter, let alone learning how to fly. But going and flying, man, I love flying. And so that would be really, really special and spectacular. And finally, to anonymously be able to help individuals who don't see it coming. But I'd like to be able to partner maybe with some counselors and psychiatrists and therapists who know of individuals who they're helping, who could really use help financially, and just to be able to go and, I don't know, pay off their debt, um, pay for a year's worth of rent at their places of residence, to be able to pay for schooling for students who are like, really strapped for trying to make it work that way. So these are some of my bucket list items that I'm so looking forward to. My dear friends, what are your bucket list items, though? I would love to hear what's on the radar for you. What are the things that compel you and move you to say, I want to aim for this? Now, there's a difference between like dreaming about these things and saying, wouldn't it be nice to, I'm going to make this happen at some point in the future, and I'm preparing for such a venture. What are those in the latter category? What are those that you're like, I'm driven to aim for this? If you're not there, what would it look like for you to start preparing for something like that in your future? What would it look like for you to start planning for such an event in the future? Maybe you need to grow up to such a point where you can make your own decisions. Maybe you just need to grow in confidence and you're thinking, okay, I want to do this at some point, but I just need to work through some stuff first and see how I get there. What would that look like for you guys to get to such a place? I would love to hear. I am now going to land the plane on this episode of the Ben Checkin In podcast because time is running away on this. But as you think about today's episode, the theme where we're talking about bucket list items, I would love to hear what yours are. Feel free to throw them in the comments section. I would love to learn about you as you become more self-aware of yourself. Learn to be kind to yourself, saying, yeah, I can do that. And maximize your happiness and pursuing what this looks like in your own context. That would be fantastic. Time worthwhile spent. I did mention a few times in today's podcast about the community that I'm building on my website, BennyMasters.com. I would love for you guys to be part of that because we are on purpose living life in such a way that we want to see ourselves in a different place in a year's time from now, and then in 2 years, 5 years time, and moving on. But as we're growing together, that we're also building a fantastic community of friendships, of encouragement, of inspiration that's going to enable us to be able to look back without regret and say, I'm really glad that I made this decision to be able to join like-minded people who are rowing the same direction, to be able to squeeze out of life as many amazing experiences as they can. That is a worthwhile thing to commit to. BennyMasters.com, there's a membership list on there. Check out which one is best for you. Join and begin growing with me today. That's what I'm aiming for in my own context, and I'd love for you guys to be a part of that. So, BennyMasters.com, check that out. There is a free resource that I have on there on how I live in this zone of happiness. It's not to say that I'm always happy. The premise is I want to experience all the varying emotions along the way, in addition to happiness. Because when we process those other emotions, then we get to happiness a lot faster. We make a lot more space and room for happiness in our own experience. What would that look like for you guys? So check out that resource. It's freely offered there on my website. Not for the faint of heart, but you're worthwhile. So it's worthwhile going forth for those experiences. However, this has been episode 24 of the Checkin In podcast. I hope to see you guys tomorrow. Love you guys. I'll talk to you really soon. Bye for now.